Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hello, it's Becky Brown, and happy Friday. I'm so thankful it is Friday, and I'm joined by Dr. Sheri Keffer and Chris Williams. Hi, you guys.
Hey, it's great to be with you both and all our listeners.
Yes, love being with you guys.
Do you know, one of the biggest questions that we get on a regular basis is, how can I deal with my spouse, my cousins, my friends, stuff, and what they really mean is, I'm dealing with codependency and I don't know it.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any magic words for folks that are dealing with codependency, and even just describe what that even looks like?
I think it's one of these words that gets confusing. It's a big word that can mean a lot of different things, but I'm going to try to do this very quickly. But it's about giving ourselves, our personhood, away to somebody else so that we can retain our personhood. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but let me say this. What makes me me is my needs, my feelings, my thoughts, my desires, and my decisions. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so for me, my needs to be met, I need to meet the need of somebody else, meaning that I give away my needs. I deny my own needs. I deny my own feelings. I deny my own thoughts, desires, all of those things, so that another person can be okay, so then that I could be okay. Now you're in codependency. Now we see that. So we see this really activate at a very young age, right? So maybe we grow up in a house where we have an emotionally out of control parent who's angry all the time, and so we feel unsafe. Our need for emotional and physical safety is at jeopardy. But if we make them happy, make them satisfied, and they can be okay, then we're safe. Now we got the seeds of real deep embedded codependency, meaning I don't matter. My needs and my safety, my thoughts, my feelings, they don't matter as much as this person's. So
I think a lot of that too, Chris, is that there's a lack of an awareness that that's actually what's happening inside of them.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Sheri, what would you like to add?
Yeah, I think codependency is what we don't realize, and I'm speaking from my own experience. Hi, my name is Sheri, and I am a codependent, right?
Hi, Sheri.
Thank you.
Because mine was purely academic, right?
I understand this very well, right? I had to go through my own recovery, and I'm still in it. But when I try to manage somebody else's problem, in order to reduce my anxiety, my fear, my guilt, my worry over what's going on, I'm codependent.
That's good. Yeah.
If I'm trying to manage your issue, I'm already in your lane. I'm already trying to manage instead of trying to figure out what I need to do with the problem that's happening. Like, I have got to figure out what I need to do in order to maybe protect myself, in order to manage my own anxiety, in order to possibly let you have to deal with your issue, right? Let go. But, there's a lot of confusion because sometimes we feel like we've got to let go of the steering wheel if something bad's happening to us. No, you don't let go of the steering wheel, or, trying to control somebody else. It usually doesn't work.
You just let go of their steering wheel.
Right. Yeah. But you have to hold on to your own, right?
Yes,
and you've got to get safe. You've got to figure out what you need to protect yourself, to get safe, get help for yourself.
That's right.
It's a lot easier said than done, and
Way
that's why
easier.
they have 12-step groups that I became a part of for a very long time.
That's right.
And to your point, that's why some of us are in lifelong recovery processes from it. Yeah,
that's true.
That's
absolutely.
Right. Well, we're going to come back and we'll answer some calls, but if you want a copy of those tips, call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I'm about 100 pounds overweight. I'm 30 years old, and I'm just really discouraged. I'm scared.
Yeah.
I don't want to fail again.
Does this sound like your story? It doesn't have to. If you want to live free of obsessions and compulsions in your eating habits, New Life's Lose It for Life Extensive can help. The Extensive features a one-day Zoom session presented by Steve Arterburn on Saturday, March 19th, plus 5 weeks of aftercare that include a weekly group session led by your credentialed New Life Network counselor, 5 on-demand training sessions from Steve Arterburn and fitness expert Michelle Spadafora, 3 30-minute private coaching sessions from a nutrition and fitness coach, the Lose It for Life book and workbook, and exercise gear to allow you to start a home fitness routine you'll actually enjoy. If you're finally ready to stop going from diet to diet and begin a comprehensive plan that addresses the psychological, emotional, and spiritual aspects of a healthy life, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. Codependency is something that all of us will deal with at one time or another, but I heard a great quote that said, if you're codependent, at the end of your life, you'll see someone else's life flash before you die.
That's awesome. That's funny.
I've always thought that was great. When you support the ministry with a gift of any size this month, we will say thanks by sending you Dr. Daniel Amen's book, Conquer Worry and Anxiety. And I know a lot of folks are dealing with worry and anxiety these days, and maybe not even recognizing that anxiety and worry is dealing with them or not dealing with them. Mm-hmm. Do you recognize where somebody might mislabel anxiety as either anger or fear? Do you ever see where people get confused about where anxiety is actually happening in their life?
Well, I think that it's understanding what the purpose of each of these emotional experiences are. Right? Anxiety is there to identify a threat. Mm-hmm. Anger is there to identify an injustice.
I like that distinction.
So we need to start differentiating the purpose of what these are. Sadness is to identify a significant or meaningful loss. And so when we can start identifying what they're like dashboard lights, right? And so that the dashboard of my anxiety could be actually pointing to an injustice that I feel anxious about. But in my home, you couldn't be angry. So I couldn't access the anger, so I went to anxious.
Great. Oh gosh, that's a great description, Chris.
And we could do that the other way around. I can't be anxious, so I went to anger.
I love that. And I think that's very helpful. We're going to be helpful to Debbie. We're going to take her call. Debbie's calling us from Las Vegas and listens on Sirius XM. Hi, Debbie. How can we help you today?
I have a sister who has a son who's 41 years old. At 4, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and he is very immature and can't hold a job. But he also shared he had pedophile thoughts, went to counseling, was cleared through counseling, but then a couple years later, he asked his nephew to swim nude, and this has caused a problem in the family. My sister says that, this is just the tendencies of boys. And my niece, who has the little boy, says that she's not comfortable with this and won't have anything to do with the family. And I want to know what advice I can give to them.
I'm so sorry that happened. Chris or Sheri, where would you like to start?
Well, real briefly, what we want to start is we want to start by the protection of the safety of the most vulnerable.
Right.
So whatever needs to occur for the children to be safe, that's what we do. And so we got to keep that first principle first. And so the second thing that I'll just say, and I want to turn this over to Sheri, is that regardless of the reasoning behind dangerous behavior, there's no excuse for dangerous behavior. Mm-hmm. That's what requires really strong boundaries and hopefully really helpful intervention.
Very good. All right. Sheri,
Yeah,
where would you like to go?
Go ahead and ask your question, Debbie.
I was just going to say, what would she say to her granddaughter that has this nephew, that has this little boy? Because she thinks it's just being a boy, but this granddaughter has taken it a little stronger, and I understand the granddaughter's point of view.
The granddaughter that's trying to protect?
Yes.
Yeah, the granddaughter that's trying to protect. Kind of at the start of the show, we were talking about codependency, and that granddaughter does exactly what Chris is saying. Her number one goal is to protect. If somebody is not safe, then we have to protect those within our care. But I think what sounds like it's, flying you to the moon and back, and it does to me too, just know you're in good company, Debbie, is when somebody is minimizing, when they're denying, when they're avoiding a problem that is a problem.
Right.
And it's like we want to scream from the rooftops to have them start opening their eyes, opening their ears to the harm that is and can be done around another human being. And it sounds like that is bothering you so much, understandably.
Well, let's go back to this, Sheri. How much damage has been done to people because of lines like "boys will be boys"?
Right.
Right. So if that's what it means if that's what it means to be a boy, we really got to readjust our definitions.
Yeah.
And I get defensive as a male. I'm like, no, that's not a boy being a boy.
Right.
Yeah.
That is actually a grown man very, very dangerously acting out a brokenness that needs protection from.
Yeah.
Right.
We got to call it for what it is.
Sexually acting out,
exactly.
right? By encouraging somebody else to...
That could damage a child's life for the rest of their life. Like, we got to get really clear here.
So, Debbie, I have a question for you. For you. When you were growing up, my dear, was there something that happened to you that was minimized, that was not called out, that hurt you, where adult people could have helped you but didn't?
This is happening to my sister, and I would say yes on both of us.
Okay, yeah, and because I can hear it in your voice. It's panic. It's like this has happened before, and I was too young to do anything about it, and it's happening again, except now I'm an adult, and I can do something about it, but my sister is not listening. So let me give you an example. Sometimes in families, there's sexual abuse, and sexual abuse might happen to more than one sibling. Might happen to you, might happen to your sister. And that sexual abuse can then replicate in the next generation. But sometimes people where they were sexually abused are they've coped by not looking at it, by kind of staying in denial. And when it happens in their family, they might minimize, they might deny. Now, I'm not saying your sister is a product of sexual abuse. I'm giving you an example of what can happen sometimes in family when somebody has really been harmed in a very sacred way and they're not behaving in a healthy natural protection, like the granddaughter is behaving in a healthy way. Was sexual abuse a part of your family story, a part of your story or your sister's that you know of?
No, not really. But I want to know, what can she say to her granddaughter to make amends? Because she feels like she's already done everything. She says, well, if anything ever happens, we would prosecute.
No. That's too late. That's too late.
Yeah, that's after the fact.
No, we hold
so what would
we hold the boundary. It's just very clear.
Well, but let me interject here, Debbie. I think the idea here isn't to go appease the granddaughter. She's right in what she's doing.
Yes.
You need to connect with your sister, and you need to inform your sister that her son needs help dealing with these thoughts. That even, your sister may be traumatized by the fact that he had a brain tumor as a young man and has been caring for him, and then making excuses for how he approaches life. It's not okay for him to do this at all. So the first step literally is, sister, your 41-year-old son needs help. This was not okay. This was never okay. Then if there's any amends that goes towards the granddaughter, you are able to say, your sister is able to say, we have taken him to a therapist. He's begun doing work. We have these guards. He will never be alone with your son, blah, blah, blah. All these kind of things that are, like you said, Chris, they're precursors so that we never, ever have to prosecute, because nothing ever will happen. We're going to be as safe as we can. And you know what? The granddaughter did the right thing.
She did.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah.
And
does that help, Debbie?
That's great. Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Well,
Yes,
I tell you, okay, good. Well, we'll send you a copy of Every Man's Battle for your sister to read, only for her to understand that even though he may have had some brain damage from the tumor, he's a man, and he's still, I don't know, unless you guys have another book that you think would be better suited for this.
Well, I think he's a man, and he's still responsible for his choices.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
if he has the ability to choose what he's going to eat that day, a hamburger or a steak, he can make choices over what he does with his body and what he's watching. I mean, he might be watching porn. She might not even be aware that her son is spending hours in his room looking at porn and crossing over into looking at porn with, young boys, or I don't know how old this young boy was, but it's not okay.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of porn out there that's just horrible. And people have,
and
it's easy to have access to. You don't even have to pay for it. It's on your phone.
And, the highlight here for anyone who's listening, when we talk about safety, it is never after the fact. It's really before, and we're getting more and more calls from people who this is happening in their families, between siblings and all of that. And it's because we're in this highly sexualized society. And I don't know, Chris or Sheri, this is the stuff that we work with all the time, but what would you say to the listener to encourage them to have safety measures in place, or even just the conversations about healthy sexual thought process and, what's normal and what is not okay?
Well, I think that this is a pretty challenging thing. This is actually something Ember and I are deep in conversations about how do we approach these subjects with our boys now that they're coming of age, a 10 and 7-year-old, and that seeing that the average age of pornography exposure is now 10 and a half years old. And so we've got to get ahead of this. But I think what's really helpful that I've coming across and now I'm putting into practice is that our sexuality fits into a larger conversation about what it means to be a healthy person, what it means to be a respectful person, what it means to be a loving person. And so then it's much easier to talk about pornography as a way that dehumanizes somebody. It dehumanizes the person that is being looked at or viewed, and also dehumanizes the person that's doing the looking and viewing. It's separating out something that is deeply personal and sacred and intimate and making it a thing. It's reducing it. It's ripping out its soul. And so it's important that, hey, we're not mean to people, and we're not judgmental to people, and we're not cruel to people, because that's what it means to be a human being as God intended. And that's why we don't look at pornography. We don't indulge in this. That's why we put protections around it. And when I'm talking to my boys, it's like, this stuff is incredibly powerful and enticing. And so we respect its power. So I think as we talk about what it means to be a healthy person, and that it becomes easier as we're putting this into the category of just that, what it means to be a God-purposed person in the world.
That's very good. Sheri?
Yeah.
You want?
I just, I feel so passionate about this. I was listening to you, Chris, and 1 out of every 10 people that go to a hardcore porn site is under the age of 10.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's according to Bitdefender and their research. We have a problem, gang, and we cannot wait. Porn is finding your kids, and we can't wait to protect. I think sometimes we feel like we don't want to make any family members upset. We don't want to make our husbands upset. And so we don't go to Covenant Eyes and have them set you up in your house. We avoid it because we codependently don't want them to be mad.
Absolutely.
That's right. We'll be right back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We were just talking about a very light subject that doesn't cause anybody any stress or trauma. But actually, we weren't. We were talking about porn and its effect on people. And just the other day, I was talking to a woman whose marriage has been impacted by porn. And I asked the magical question, what has your husband done to deal with his porn use? And what do you think the answer was?
Nothing.
Exactly. Most of the time what we hear is that, well, he just stopped. So, he doesn't have that problem anymore. Now, the three of us know that that is the furthest thing from the truth. And, when we talk about every man's battle, one of the things that I say all the time is it's a place where you can say, I went to every man's battle to start to deal with my sexual integrity issues. And, and if you are not dealing with that in your life and you just think, well, I just quit and I don't look at it anymore, or I don't call her anymore, or I don't, whatever the thing is, that's just an excuse waiting for a disaster to happen.
Well, and you said it because it's an integrity issue. I say in my own recovery, one of the hardest things I had to recover was not just separation from pornography. It was the ability to tell the truth. And it's embarrassing to say this, but it's absolutely true. I couldn't believe how difficult of a relationship I had to honesty and truthfulness. And that's that that didn't just affect my sexual life. That's going to affect every other part of my life. If we can't connect to reality through truthfulness and be able to connect to the truth about us, the world around us, I mean, life is going to be very, very, very difficult. And it's going to be anxiety-ridden. It's going to be shame-ridden. And so I'm kind of impassioned about this today because it's really important that it's so much bigger than just not looking. However, Sheri and I were just talking about you got to get separation. You got to get as much distance from the sexual acting out as possible. And there's so many things out there that maybe people don't know about. You know, I was talking about in our home, we have this, it's called a mesh system, which is our router. And our router allows us to know who's seeing what, when, where, and for how long. And I mean everything. And we can put restrictions straight through the router. It's called Eros,
great, Chris.
You know?
It is excellent.
Yeah.
Because you know why, Chris? As you're raising young men, you don't want to hear from them 10 years, you know, because how many times this young man that I was talking about, well, he's not a young man anymore, but his porn use started at age 10.
Yes. Mine started at age 8.
See,
you know? Yeah.
And so, and let me also bring up it's not only young men, it's young girls.
Yes.
There are more and more
Sheri.
young girls that are finding pornography. I mean, really, this porndemic, the pandemic has opened up a porndemic. It has, kids have found things on their phones that they never knew were there before, just because of a lot more idle time.
And they're being targeted. There's a lot of targeting going out there.
Totally targeted. There's chat rooms. There's a lot of stuff. So I love that system that you have where you have got controls over that, stepping into our kids' phones in their lives. And as long as that phone is a part under your roof, right, and you are raising that kid, you have the right to monitor that phone and to put protections on it. I always say, let your kids know that. It's not like a gotcha secret. I mean, just let them know, hey, we pay for the phones. You're in our home. We also have the freedom as your parents to just check every now and then to see what's going on. There's a great book. It's called Parenting in the Digital World by Clayton Crandon, and he is a former police officer, but he has come up with a lot of very current helps for what you can do with this issue, and he even has a contract in his book that allows you to sit down with your kid and talk about, kind of like you did with your boys, saying, it's very exciting. I mean, this is something that could really hurt you, but not exciting like going to Magic Mountain and getting on a ride. Like, it can really hook you. But then having a contract that you all both sign together, anything that we can be doing, Covenant Eyes, this mesh system, parenting in the digital world, we have a responsibility to be active participants in protecting our families. No one else will protect your child. No one will protect your home.
And we hear the principle, with great freedom comes great responsibility, or the Spider-Man line, with great power comes great responsibility, right? Our technology allows us great freedom and great power, but to the degree in which it does it, it's going to require great responsibility. And so that means if you want access to all of this, that means you're going to, and you don't want it to be harmful and damaging, that means you're going to have to do the really hard work and research and figuring out how many protective devices that you need to put in place. Now, we know that none of these will be foolproof, but we definitely want to make the boundaries as difficult to access as possible because, again, we're being targeted, our children are being targeted, and it is all over the place.
Yeah.
And you know what the headline there is? You guys, we've all worked with clients who this is part of their history.
Yes.
We are helping them prevent this happening if we're telling the news that there are ways to protect your children, to protect this from happening in the future. It's not because we're trying to be neurotic, but listen, the pain is great on the other side of this story. And so we want you to be aware of what your children are being exposed to or what's happening in your house.
Yes.
It's a big deal, and it can wreak so much havoc in the lives of those that it impacts. We're going to be right back.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. A lot of people are in, you could literally say, in bondage from past trauma that has created an emotional web that they don't understand, and it prevents them from being free. A person that loses their temper regularly is not emotionally free. Someone who has anxiety just to get in the car and leave the house is not emotionally free. And walking around with the shame from a childhood or even a bad relationship as an adult, that is not emotional freedom, and we can help you get there.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Workshop is Saturday, April 30th. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jackie Mack-Harris will present information on the power of our emotions, procrastination, guilt and shame, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or register online at newlife.com.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the Life Recovery Bible personal size, the 1-year Life Recovery Prayer Devotional, the New Life Journal, a New Life pen and highlighter, and a New Life zipper tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are so glad you're with us today. We're having some great discussions. And, one of the ways that we are able to have these discussions is because we have such a great group of supporters through our Club New Life family. And Club New Life is it is a group of folks that give on a monthly basis to help New Life get the word out about all the different things that we do. Everything from running a website to a radio program and workshops and beyond. We exist to help people find hope and help in life's hardest places, and we do it through so many different ways. And first of all, I want to just say thank you to our Club New Life family, but also if you would like to join, you can give us a call at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and we will get you connected to the family of Club New Life that makes a difference. And we are so grateful that you would be part of that. We also have a Lose It for Life Extensive coming up March 19th. It's a one-day online, followed by 5 weeks of group, as well as a health coach, as well as individual coaching. It's pretty powerful to see what happens at a Lose It for Life workshop. But what we've called this one is Lose It for Life Extensive because it keeps going even after the initial day. And I think in so many times when we're dealing with weight and eating issues, we feel like it just is too hard to go on your own. And it is. We want you to be connected with people who can help you. And so if you are interested in joining us for that one day, followed by 5 weeks of coaching and group works, as well as we got videos. Michelle Spadafora and Steve Arterburn are the presenters at that workshop. Give us a call at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Without sounding like a commercial, one after the other, one of the things that I'm always learning from both of you is how we can be better human beings. Believe it or not, we do have work to do till we're done being alive.
Yes.
And I just think that that's a concept that people don't realize many times. What are some of the top 3 things that either of you would suggest for people who think, you know what, I got it all together. I don't really need, to work on anything. What would you say to them?
Well, can I just move from one P, porn, to another P? Putin. Putin.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, if I can just bring up a topic here, because I have 3 things. What's happening with what's going on in our world right now with Putin in Ukraine is I am feeling myself and my clients are feeling tremendous agitation around what's happening, because not only are we watching what's going on in our world, which is horrible, right? This bully, this evil man, right, is going in and invading a space. And it's also stirring up some of us who have bullying that's going on in our lives. It could be in our marriages, could be with a boss, could be with us, one of our siblings. And the gaslighting, right? I was just talking to Chris before the show. I said, the first day Putin said he was sending in a peace team or people to go in I was trying to remember what they called, but it made it look like he was the good guy. And then he was talking about that there are genocides in Ukraine, which is really a lie. It's a smear campaign. So we're watching gaslighting and smear campaigns with a bully that is taking over. And so those of us who are feeling triggered by that, you talked about your trip lines on another show with the landmines and the trip lines. We may have some landmines that need some work because we're feeling so much heightened hurt, fear, concern, and it might be opening up a landmine from our past. And so don't ignore that. Listen to it and take the opportunity to connect the dots between what you're seeing and what is familiar with you. That helps make you a better person.
That's great insight, Sheri. We've got a caller, so let's go to the caller. Perry's calling us from Toronto, listens on the app, and you can also you can download the app wherever you get your apps on your phone. Thanks for calling, Perry. How can we help you?
Hi, good day. Thank you so much for taking my call. I really appreciate you guys. I was curious in terms of, I just needed some advice because I am newly connected with my, which we've been separated for 10 years, and he just joined me and my husband, which is not his dad, and I just wanted to know what advice you could give me to be a better mediator for in that new that new dynamics, I should say, of a family.
Okay, so your stepson has joined you and your husband, and you're just trying to figure.
But it's my husband's stepson. Sorry.
Right.
He's your son with your ex-husband, right?
Well, I wasn't married with his dad, but this is my first. I am newlywed with my husband for the first time being married.
Okay.
And only.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Perry.
And my husband doesn't have kids, I should say. Has never had any kids. This is fairly new to him. Yeah, and I find myself butting. I really want him to be included, but sometimes I feel like I become defensive with and I don't know how best to do that.
Can you just tell us what kept your son estranged from you? How old is your son?
My son is 18 right now.
And then you didn't see him for 10 years?
Yes. I moved to Canada, and he was living with my mom and his dad back in the Caribbean, and we recently were able to sponsor him and reunite because the process was that long.
Got it. So this is a big deal for you to have your son come home. You've sponsored him, and I imagine you have a lot of anxiety about whether it's going to go well or whether it would go badly. And remember when we were talking about codependency? Was that today, or I'm trying to think?
Yes, it was today.
Wow. I mean, so many conversations we've had. But so codependency comes from when we feel scared, triggered, anxious, worried about something, and we start trying to change somebody else in order to make us feel better about the situation, this could be a codependency trap for you. It could call to codependency. It could make codependency want to be your best friend right now because you're so worried about the reunion with your son, yourself.
Yes.
You have a lot of anxiety yourself about him coming back into your life. And your new husband, right, is going to have his own way of connecting with your boy. And,
who's also a young adult.
Right. And so if you start trying to make your husband be a different person in order to bind your anxiety about how you feel fearful about your son, he's going to feel very uncomfortable because he doesn't want you to fix him. He doesn't want your coaching. He doesn't want you to teach him how to be a parent, even though he's not a parent. He's a man. The better thing to do would be to come to him and say, honey, I'm scared. I am so nervous right now because my son is coming back into my life and he's coming into our lives. And I'm just kind of scared and worried that I might say something or that we might do something that would make him pull away. And I just need to let you into that part of my fear.
That's good. Yeah.
Do you see how different that is? Now you're being vulnerable. You're just telling him what you're afraid of instead of trying to make him behave differently. What do you think about that strategy?
I think transparency is key. It's definitely a challenging spot to be in. For me, especially, I think I'm in the middle of all this new stuff. And I don't know. And I feel like I want to be in control of how everything happens.
I know.
I know. So badly for it to go well.
Hi, my name is Sheri, and I'm a codependent girl. I see it. You spot it, you got it. So I get it. But now is the time for you to start looking at you and doing some work so that you don't let codependency overtake you and create these awkward, frustrating moments.
Yeah. Perry, hold on. We'll be back right after the break, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. I'm curious about what some of the fights have been about, or some of the tension places that you've occurred or that you've experienced since he's moved home. But we'll talk about that when you get back.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Columbus, Ohio, April 8th to the 10th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. 1-800-NEWLIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in the biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are talking to Perry, whose 18-year-old son just joined her and her husband, and a little bit of challenging times they're going on. And Perry, I'm just curious, what is one of the biggest arguments or the tensions that you are having to manage in this reunion?
So it could go anywhere from, my husband might say, my son is a bit timid, he should be a little more macho or something like that. And the next spectrum of it could be maybe he should be doing more reading and looking into school and stuff like that, and not so much of what he's doing right now, which is his passion, like music and stuff like that. And I find what he says is a bit valid in terms of reading, but it's I'm just like, we should.
Okay, so hold on. I'm gonna Perry, I'm gonna have to jump in here. Okay, so there's 10 years gap here. 8 to 18. Let me kind of level the playing field. You don't know this kid, and that's hard. No. And so then trying to come in and try to determine who he is and what he should do is going to absolutely damage him. And so the really, really, really difficult task here is that, of course, you're coming in, and maybe your husband, with a lot of hopes and a lot of expectations. But I'm going to be really kind of brutally honest. You haven't earned the right to have a lot of hope and expectations because there's a 10-year gap. And so you're going to have to hold in front of you, in suspension and maybe with a little anxiety, a lot of unknowns and a lot of uncertainty of what this is and what this means. Because you're going to have to give yourself time to learn who this person is. And you're going to have to give him grace to figure out who he is and who he is in relationship to you in your life. And so coming in, hot with all of these expectations and shoulds and supposed tos is going to hurt the situation. It's not going to help the situation. Coming in with humility and grace and acceptance and really true, genuine curiosity about who this person is, because I actually keep thinking back to an 8-year-old who got left behind in the Caribbean with his dad and his grandma, and how he's had to navigate that trauma over the last decade.
Sheri?
I think Chris said it. I mean, I couldn't agree more, Chris, with what you just said. And so in that respect, I hope you'll have your husband listen to this call. Will you do that? So that he knows we're on your team and we want the most success. But I would be asking questions about what he loves about his music. I mean, is he playing? Is he singing? Is he a drummer? What is he doing with that? Find out as much as you can about him. When Chris said be honestly curious, it means do a deep dive around him to learn about him and where he's at right now. And
I've got another viewpoint. I'm thinking of all the calls that we have. I agree with what you guys are saying, and about the calls that we have about young adults that are living with parents and negotiating what that looks like, whether it's you don't have to pay rent, you don't have to participate in household responsibilities, all those kind of things. I just wonder if maybe some of your husband's resentment and criticism is coming from a pressure of, now I've got to accommodate this new person. I don't know that that's true, but I know that we do have those conversations with many parents who have young adults that are in the house. And what's your plan? What are you going to do with your life? And that, but again, we got to get to know each other. There is a healing and connecting that has to happen. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that approach? I mean, am I completely off base?
Well, you have to make the household work for everyone, right? Mm-hmm. But I think the tough thing about this particular situation is that over the last 10 years, that Perry and her, and he didn't know this, her new husband didn't know that this this is what he signed up for, but have abdicated the right to get to determine his, Perry's son's life for him.
Right.
At the current moment, right? But there still is this negotiation of reality. What does it mean to be a part of this house? What does it mean that to make this all work for all of us? And it may not work, by the way.
Perry, why did you leave? Why did you go to Canada? What prompted you to go there when he was 8 years old?
The economy was not doing so well, and so it was a decision that I had to make a better living for us. And it was very hard to leave him behind, but I think I was afraid of just going to the unknown without him, not knowing what I was going to first.
Yeah.
So I found myself establishing before I brought him over.
So do you mean that you make a life for us? Who's that? You and another child, or you and who?
Oh, it was another life for me and him. But of course he felt like, I don't feel like I was a part of that, but he's the only child right now.
Okay. Yeah. So let me tell you something, too, to think about. He felt abandoned by you at 8.
Yes.
He's not going to care about the economy. That answer, I'm hearing it, but it takes it's hard to leave a child, right? I can only imagine what that was like for you, but I want you to think about what that was like for him. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about, if my mom were to tell me, well, I left because the economy was tough and I didn't stay near you, I would feel so cheap. Like, really?
Yeah.
And I'm being tough kind of, again, with you right now today. Like Chris was really honest, but you're going to have to really think about how to be honest about his hurt, how to be able to say something more like, I don't think it was the best decision to leave you, but I did. Mm-hmm. And I know that caused you tremendous harm. I own that. I mean, can you feel that?
And to that point, Perry, just like what Sheri said, you have to also express that to your husband, that we are in the ICU right now. We need to reconnect and heal. That's why maybe some parameters of what to expect, not from him, but for your husband, because I hear that you're getting in the middle of the two of them. So you and your husband have to have a conversation about, this is where we are. What do you need to have happen so that you can calm down, not asking him, is he going to go to school? He should read some more. He should do this, that, and the other thing. And be open to how this is going forward. I also think it might be helpful if you guys had a family therapist to help you.
I couldn't agree more. Becky, thank you for bringing that up. So hold on the line, and we'll get you hooked into a New Life therapist in your area, because, Becky, you're right. They're going to need some help.
Yeah, whenever we have transitions in our lives, we don't have a roadmap of what's coming ahead of us. And yet we know that it can be difficult. I'm so glad you called, Perry, and I'm wondering what book. I'm going to ask you too. What do you suggest?
I'm leaning towards Healing as a Choice.
And I'm leaning towards How We Love Our Kids.
Yes. Okay, let's do both. We'll send both of them to her.
Woohoo! Double duo. That's good.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Sheri, and thank you, Chris, and all your wisdom. It just makes a difference in so many people's lives. I'm always taking notes, and I learn from you all the time. Thanks, listeners, for tuning in, and tune in again next time, and share it with your friends.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.